Well, it's finally as if that copper mine was never there. We've managed to fill it all the way in, and now I'm going to have to start figuring out where I'm going to start hauling dirt to other places, as well as doing a bunch of other things around base. Hello, everybody. This is Frogman. Welcome back to Captain of Industry. We're kind of getting to a point where we're going to need to start worrying about resources in a little bit deeper fashion than we have been. The iron mine that is over here is now more or less turning out just nothing but gravel. We are going to continue to dig through into this hill. I just wanted to get all of the, the majority of the iron out of the walls before we started digging into the copper that is over here, because we're going to be transitioning the system over here into a copper mine once we get all of the just basic leftover garbage out of the walls that we can kind of get, clean things up and do things with. So I've been filling in the holes and just doing the normal things that we do. We did finally get into the coal that is over here, and it has been very fruitful to the point I'm going to have to back up again. I'm probably going to have to do one of the little, like, circle me down around kind of things in this one to try to get it to, to where we can get it to where we're nice and flat surface area, because we're just going to dig straight into this wall until we find all of the fun things. That it's just going to be the way that works. We're going to slowly just kind of build this little bay back into nothing, and then make it so that we should be able to eventually attack this iron pile over here when and if we ever need to. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I do have, again, we've been kind of slowly working on a causeway over to here, which this has just been kind of a fun little toy to mess with. And I do absolutely need to get after the aluminum that is over here, because we need to stop relying on the aluminum that is out in the world, although we don't have an awful lot of it. So we're going to kind of continue to fiddle around with things and hopefully work through stuff. Again, I've got that iron pile that we haven't touched there, and we are working towards trying to move mountains over here. I probably should add a couple of more excavators and trucks to this one, or at least upgrade them. But I do think that by the time we get to where we need to be, we'll be over here, we'll be okay. There is a couple of things we can do for the gold that is going to be, it's something we can do as far as a contractor is concerned, and it's something that we're going to probably have to look at maybe. So gold, we can trade 16 servers for 1,500 gold. That's not terrible. And the 16 servers, I mean, I don't know how much I could possibly be making at any given one time, but we definitely could be doing that trade. And honestly, I'm kind of contemplating changing out this particular structure here because of the fact that we are not doing all that well with the aluminum. I thought I told you guys to go do something. Yes, go do that, please. And we've been kind of cleaning a few things up here and there and just kind of working through the little stuff that we need to work through as the time goes. So I have, and I probably should be pausing, I'm just kind of doing a couple of little things here. Have in between episodes ripped out a bunch of things and replanned a bunch of the rest of the processing for what we're going to need for the rest of the game, I should say, the rest of the fun stuff. We've researched the probes. Probes require 2 plutonium to be able to make a probe. The next step here is going to be building the compact reactors. Those are going to need 2 enriched uranium in order to be able to build those so that we can then start thinking about pulling down asteroids. And then after that, all we're doing is, advancing and doing all of the things and whatnot that one would do, which is just continuous research and building and building and building and building and building and building. I haven't had any done of these in a while. I probably should have been doing a little bit of it, but it is what it is. I have gone ahead and finally got a little bit of excess going through as far as all of our pipes are concerned. Some of this stuff is shut off for a reason. It's mainly due to the fact that we didn't need to be doing certain things. And actually, I need to turn that pipe around, and then you can get unpaused, my friend, because you need to go away. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize this main reactor here as a way of trying to produce all of the fuel that we possibly can need. As a way of trying to produce the majority of the power. Let me put it like that. This is going to produce the majority of the power while we craft little parts. We're going to use this reactor, which is not currently in that situation, in 3 times production at max steam here so that it can produce 96 power all the time, but it will produce a considerable amount more of the blanket fuel than we will be doing. So that will be, that we're going to be able to make out of here. The thing is these reactors make just enough blanket fuel as long as you produce just a little bit of stuff here to be able to produce all of the fuel they need in order to be able to work. If you want more blanket fuel, or if you want the production of blanket fuel enriched to increase, you need to run one of these at maxed out capacity, well, or however many capacities you want, but run it at one, or whatever, and then it will be able to build the parts that you need in order to be able to do the work that we need. So in here again, I've reconfigured our little system here, and I've got it mostly piped back in, piped ready to go. I do need to be hitting the construct and build button very soon because we are coming down here. This one is staying relatively full, and I do need to make sure I put that back down there because I don't want it to accidentally try to blow itself up again. But I have been kind of toggling that pipe back and forth since this pipe is, well, it's an awful long pipe, and I know I probably shouldn't be doing what I'm doing here, but I do want to try to at least make sure that our main fuel is staying full for the time being. Now, these things are, I should say, at least at this point, reasonably resource cheap. So if I put this on off, it'll run 2 core fuel, give us back to 2 core fuel. Of course, you're going to have to sort through everything else, but 2 core fuel is good for the 96 steam right here, which means it's good for whatever this is, 60 megawatts of power, which is not a whole lot considering that's, it's an awful lot of everything else that it takes to get it to work. But if you just wanted just 96 megawatts of power, you can do that with just a little bit of stuff. I mean, all you really need to do is just do have one of these other reactors running, or have some of the other fun things that are going on that can do stuff. So we are going to, now that we have got all of the core fuel built up so that these are both full. That was my goal, was that I wanted to get them most of the way full, or at least completely full, and then have a feeder pipe that is most of the way full or getting close, at least enough so that we can fiddle around here, so that we can then do a few things. So what the process is going to be is, in order to keep both of these happy, they're going to, running wide open, use 16 core fuel per minute. We're going to rebuild the 16 core fuel here, well, back here. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take 32 of the spent core fuel, turn it into 24 of the regular core fuel, and then once I burn out all of the MOX fuel that we have laying around over here, I will be switching this nuclear reprocessing plant over to do the core fuel so that we're not wasting a little bit of unity to keep that thing running. Either way, that is going to produce the majority of what we're going to need. It's going to produce 24 of the 32 core fuel that we need. So we're going to take out of this, I believe, 32 of the productive blanket fuel that we're going to be using, or the enriched blanket fuel, and we're going to turn it into the core fuel that we need in order to keep these things running. So that's going to go through 4 of the enrichment plants for there. And then we have a little bit of logic over here, which says I want to, if need be here, any and all things over here, this is still going to be our blanket fuel line. This is going to run over into 2 enrichment plants that are going, one is going to be doing the enrichment uranium, and the other one is going to be doing plutonium. We're going to leave the plutonium off for now because we don't need the plutonium. I mean, I can start making the probes and fill a box up full of probes and do whatever we think we need to do, but I think for right now I'm more interested in making the plutonium into something else. And by something else, I mean there is a little system over here that we're going to be doing 2 different things. We have again here, we're going to be using the enriched uranium process here for now to produce the stuff that we need in order to be able to make the extra core fuel that I'm going to need for a little while, because I want to fill the core fuel lines up, at least to, I'm going to say somewhere right around over in here. I want them to be full. Once you have enough core fuel in a system, it's a closed system. You won't need any more, so it's just going to be one of those, I'm just going to try to carefully make a little bit of stuff for a little while, and then we'll run it on however we need to do. We also have a couple of chemical plants in here that are going to start reprocessing the depleted uranium immediately, because we have to be able to supply this thing with 48 blanket fuel all the time in order to keep it happy, which is going to be a little tough because the only way I'm going to be able to make blanket fuel at this point is right here by using the yellow cake recipe with a little bit of salt and turn that into blanket fuel. So we have 2 of these going over here. We'll be able to make 8 blanket fuel there, which should at least be enough to recapture the stuff that we're going to use in here. Now, I do have and I will have a thing in here, I think, fairly soon. I think for that matter, this, if I turn you off, you'll still make the same amount of power, but you'll make the core fuel in, you'll use less core fuel, but it won't make any of the blanket fuel. I may do that once we get this going, because once we have 2 boxes full of the little parts that we need, we're going to have a massive amount of excess blanket fuel enriched, and I'm going to have plenty of stuff coming in from other places. I hope. We'll see. It all kind of just goes the way that it goes. So the first thing I want to do, and I guess while we're standing here talking about this, I have, well, those are full, those are full. We probably have about 5 minutes to build the piping and the structure right here. So again, what's going to happen, we're going to make sure that our blanket fuel enriched, there are 2 actually, or should there be 1 or 2. There's going to be a priority sorter here that's going to say priority goes this direction. I need to be making this first. Then this core fuel is going to, again, be stuck into the system until we fill this up, and we should be good to go as far as everything else goes there. We're going to be replenishing, man, I cannot speak, excess blanket fuel in here using these 2 fellas. They should take care of the excess stuff that we'll be missing out of both of these, hopefully. And then the excess, or any excess that we can possibly say, will be coming out of here. So once I have this thing right here running and producing excess core fuel, then I will probably toggle these back off. I have them paused right now, and I don't know why you're paused. You shouldn't be paused. I will probably toggle both of these guys back off, because I want to utilize just a little bit of the excess stuff to try to clean up this mess. Now, I know it's kind of like, wow, you have a whole pile of stuff over here, and you've been kind of messing around with this. I have no idea how much is over there. It's kind of one of those, I wish you could kind of sit down and actually calculate it. I don't really care. I mean, I suppose there probably is a way to calculate it, but we are going to try to chew through it as much as possible using this recipe here. Essentially, it's the same as this one here. So we're going to be, instead of using the yellow cake and salt, we will be using yellow cake, a teeny tiny amount of enriched blanket fuel, or excuse me, yellow cake. Look at me. Little amount of enriched blanket fuel, 10 depleted uranium, 4 salt, and that will turn that into 4 blanket fuel. And for what it's worth, then we can stop running this, which will allow me to utilize all of the stuff that's over there as a ore pile for a while until we can possibly get a line. I'm trying to get this built up to here so that we can then chew up into here, and then I may think about bringing the uranium that is sitting right here into base, or I may not. It all depends. We are kind of at a spot right now where there's a couple of things that we can do, and then we're into what is considered end game for a game like this, of just, well, building, expanding, increasing production, building, expanding, increasing production kind of things. And I don't know how much more I want to do that with this as far as the series goes. So anyhow, let's go ahead and well, carefully pick and choose the things we need them to be building first, and then go from there. So I have at least enough stuff to do the work. You guys, I need you to build this reasonably quickly. And I'm not going to build that yet. I think we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4 pipes, pipe, get all of the pipe, because I think I saw one right there. You, and you should all be ready to go. And then we're going to build those 2 new things that we're going to be getting in order to be able to pull down asteroids and whatnot right here. That's, I know, not the greatest position considering our rockets are clear the heck over here, but it is fine. It's just part of the things. I don't want to be running a lot of plutonium out on a single belt. So that should do that. And then I think we will have them go ahead and build this structure here, which should then build the salt line and all that stuff down to there. So all we got to do now is watch it, hopefully. And hopefully we don't have a problem, because I should have enough. It's okay if this one runs out of power. If this one runs out of fuel, should say, it's perfectly fine. But I don't want to be running out of extra stuff. And I did go ahead and toss in an extra radioactive waste storage just in case we have a problem. Once I stop processing the MOX fuel, then the only stuff that we're going to be storing is going to be the spent fuel fission product that is going to be coming out of this. So we'll see how that all goes. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause that one right there and turn this back on so that it can start delivering the enriched blanket fuel into the network, because we should have at least 1 or 2 of these ready to go. Good. And then once they get their pipes built, beautiful. All right. All right, cool. And I do believe I have this set to priority out that direction, so that means it'll feed all of these first, and they will process, make the core fuel that we need in order to keep things running. And because I'm running this at a fairly low pace right now, it won't matter, so we'll just go ahead and fill up some pipes, I think, for a little bit here, and see how all the rest of that goes. So you guys should... Do I have to put an import route on that? Are you guys going to be smart enough to do this? Okay, unpause. Go back to work. And then what we'll do here is I'm going to probably just delete this one. I think if we just delete you and you, dump. And then I can grab this one and extend its area to like there. Cool. And then we shouldn't need to worry about dumping anything anymore. So we'll just do that. And you can mine. Oh, great, it got into the corner. Uh-oh, we gotta fix that. And then F flat. Now, if they ever get back there, it's fine. But essentially, this is now a pile of uranium ore that we can use for as long as it takes to eat it up. Nice. Cool. All right. So then they'll just continue to haul that back and keep this one little container here, hopefully mostly full. And this will produce the excess blanket fuel we need. So like I said, the point here is I can go boink, boink, shut both of those off, let them back themselves up, and we stop eating the uranium ore off of the map. So, cool. How are we doing? So we should be doing just enough work here to be able to keep this reactor running happily. And how are we doing on our pipe? That pipe is full or has stuff in it right there. That's excellent. Good. So you... is there excess? So we're running it that direction. Good. I want to unpause that pipe. And then this will run over to here and make a couple of little pieces of enriched stuff that will then be turned into some core fuel to increase our production. So now what I want to do, as soon as my system is up where I think I need it to be, which I'm going to give it a little bit of time to do that. Like, I'd like to see... we should be able to get a little bit of fuel in here. I think the process then is you go to 3 and eat. Okay, so that should, at a decent amount of time here, start to produce a lot of stuff. So the excess of the blanket fuel, the enriched blanket fuel, is going to come over here. It's going to produce a couple of these enriched uraniums. Those are going to get shoved into that deal to make us the excess core fuel that we're going to need. And like I said, once the pipe is filled to, say, probably about here, as we can see, there's 12 or 6 or 9 or whatever. These pipes are our tanks, essentially. That's how I'm kind of working this. So as long as we have plenty of stuff back to, right, say, there, or from here to there, if we have excess stuff hanging out in that tank, then I will be able to shut this off and then turn this on to do, well, not this, turn this process on over here to do the rest of the things. And what I will do is, I think we have enough room barely. I might have to move this somewhere else. Like I may need to move it over here. But once we have the boxes and everything over here built and ready to go, then I can theoretically build as many of these onto this as I want here. And then you can just turn this thing up and let it run however. So yeah, it's a thing we can do. So cool. So far, most of this has been fairly painless. We'll go ahead and build the rest of this, because I think I want one more of these. Although I do have this one sitting here. You know what? No. We'll pause that. Don't build it. Pause the construction. I do have one sitting right here that is not doing anything we can add to the system. We'll just change this one over, and if we need to, we can do that there. But this one's kind of getting a little full. And for what it's worth, like I say, once we're done eating up what's left of our MOX fuel, which we have 800 of that left, yeah, then we'll be okay. So that should be whatever's coming in is being let out at whatever we can do. I suppose you guys are running as hard as you can. Good. Then unpause these for now. I might actually add another one of these down here. But we need that pipe full. We need to make all the blanket fuel we can. Eat, my friends, eat. Might have to back this one down and let it fill that blanket fuel up for a minute. Yeah, let's do that for a second. We're gonna go here, off, and then back down to there. We'll go carefully down. Now, down. We're consuming more fuel than we're making at that point, so I need to kind of be a little bit smart about it. And I need to just shut this off. Yeah, we can leave it alone. Okay, so that should slowly fill that back up full of fuel in here. This one I think is full, so that's good. We're just going to make sure the line is filled. And we should be all right for a little bit, although I might need to pause both of these guys because they are using up excess blanket fuel. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of one of these little toss and turn kind of things that you got to do. I'd rather it be making it from over here. Once we get a couple of other things going, we should be good, though. And I think you guys, we're going to go ahead and pause that line again just to keep it from outputting. We need to keep these filled. Okay, now let's try it. So you up, you there, and then unpause that line. We need an excess in both in order to make it work. Cool. We'll let the numbers run for a little while and see how things go. You guys go ahead for sure and do that too, because we've got excess. We're not... Once it's functional, I theoretically should have 16 excess. Which means I could run 8 of those. Ooh, hey. Maybe I should be doing that, huh? But we should be making excess right now. It's just going to take it a minute to catch up. Yes. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to have to sit here and fiddle and toggle with stuff for a little while. I know this is going to be, we've been doing an awful lot of playing with reactors and playing. It's a big part of the game. It's a big part of the game is to try to keep things functional and running. And it's either that or you run, you know, solar or whatever. And I might start trying to think about filtering off a little bit of the panels that we have over here being created. I might just try to grab a little bit and put a container over here and start putting down some panels in a few of these flat areas that we have that we're not going to be building any structures on. But yeah, I think we're doing what we need to do, and our our scrubbers are doing reasonably well, looks like. Actually, we're probably keeping at least one of those running all the time. You're supposed to be on high all the time. Nice. So yeah, we're doing the work, and I did manage to get everything except this hooked up right here, which I may or may not do. It's running on auxiliary power for other stuff. But anyhow, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I know we keep doing this and we keep doing this and we keep doing this. In between episodes, I am going to finish this research. Well, I'm going to do what it's going to take to finish the research, which is we're going to have to rebuild the gold mine, or I'm going to have to figure out how to trade gold for, or something for gold, so that we can continue to make the stuff that we need. So my major project now is to make sure that our power is stable, and then I'm going to be building that line over to here, and then we'll start making stuff happen over there. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to probably have to build a flat line in here to do whatever, but yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to have to, I don't know how we want to do this, but we're going to need the gold. I don't think there's any easier accessible gold. I mean, I guess I could, this is what I mean. It's like, it's clear the heck down here, and that'd be a line I think we could build, but I'd have to start working on it. My next big project really is I need to get a line up to here so we can start chopping all these trees down and do the rest of the work. And yeah, we're just kind of at a spot right now where I screwed up, and I should have made sure I had plenty of stuff. So I will either build a contract to keep that functional, or we will hopefully get this causeway built over here reasonably quickly. It doesn't seem to be very deep, so we just need the trucks to be moving as much rocks as possible. I need to probably add another excavator and another 2 trucks over here to this, but they're doing well enough for the time being. Anyhow, I will see you all later. Again, like I said, we will try to get everything sorted and ready to go so that we can start launching things into space again and find the last little bit of interesting stuff in the game, which is going to be the ability to bring asteroids down to the planet. So that's going to be cool. I'll see you all later. Thank you so much for watching.